Hello, my name is Yewande. Welcome to Knitting the Blues. I am a knitter and a writer. I'm based in Johannesburg, and in this podcast, I just like to talk about my knitting. I like to talk about the community in which I am knitting in, yarn dyers, shops around that supply the materials one needs, and the community of knitters, crocheters, of course, and just other makers in Johannesburg and beyond Johannesburg in South Africa. Today, I want to talk about cable patterns. We are in spring. Despite the weather doing what it's doing, I find myself just trawling cable patterns on Ravelry. I'm fascinated by cables. I love cables. I'm quite a new knitter. I've been knitting for about a year, knitting garments for about a year. I learned to knit as a young girl. I do lace. I love lace. I love texture. Lace I find difficult. I think I forget the yarn over, whatever, and then I'm upset. Lace annoys me, but of course it's very beautiful and I do it. And texture I love, but cables, something about cables. Not all cables. I mean, there's some I'm like, ooh, that's a bit much, but I think I love the technique itself. This idea of a cable needle. If you use a cable needle, and this idea of pushing some needles here and pushing some stitches to the side and pushing others to the other side. I'm kind of tickled by that. And when I do cabling, the little cabling I've done, I haven't done a whole lot. It kind of just, a little light bulb goes off. A small little twinkle of a light goes off somewhere inside my body. I think I'm just in general fascinated by cables, and maybe it has nothing to do with the weather, sending me in the opposite direction that I should be going in. I should be headed this way towards cotton, plant-based yarns, light, summery designs, and yet I'm trawling cables. So I thought, let me get it out of my system. So I sat the other evening and I just gorged on cables. And I thought, hey, let me create a bundle on Ravelry and maybe also talk to people, talk to my community here on Knitting the Blues about these cable patterns. I'm unlikely to knit any of these. Who knows? I've been known to knit the warmest thing in December, in South Africa's December, which is just pumping heat. But I don't have plans, let me put it that way. I don't have the yarn and I don't have plans to make this today. If, maybe in another few days as I start to dream even more about cables, I just find myself, getting the yarn and making it. But even if I'm not making it, who's to say I can't dream? I'm going to be going through with you 37 cable patterns that I have stashed away in a bundle on Ravelry. I think there are two patterns for men. There are several cardigans and then pullovers. I'm not going to go in any particular order other than the order that it shows up on my Ravelry. So I hope that's not annoying to anybody. But you can always go into the bundle. I'll put a link below to look, specifically at certain patterns. But so I'll be jumping back and forth between pullovers, cardigans, and so on. The first pattern I want to talk about is called Secret of Life. It's a pattern by Marzena, Kolaczek, and it's a pullover. It is knit in DK weight, and the gauge is 22 stitches and 34 rows in 10 centimeters of stockinette stitch. It's knit up in a US 6, which is a 4 millimeter, and a US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter needle. The sizes go from XS to XL, which is not that inclusive. And it is available in English and Polish. So this is, when I saw this sweater, there are certain cables that just make my heart sing, and then other cables I'm like, oh, that's a bit. This had some of the cables that I really, really love. I love I don't even know what they're called, so you're going to have to excuse my ignorance. But I love the cables in this pattern. They're delicate. I'm not a big fan of the super chunky kind of obnoxious cables. I love the ones that are delicate, and maybe some of the delicacy of this is also achieved because I'm imagining that this is knit with some fluff, but I might be wrong. But let's look at what she also says about the pattern. She says, all that you need on cold winter or autumn days, comfort, warmth, and many charming cables. These are charming, I must say. It's a casual sweater, she describes this as, a convenient shape fitting every body type, although she needs to extend her sizes a bit. She says most of the instructions are given in charts, and each size has its own file. I've heard of that, where each size gets its own file. So you're not having to, check that you're reading the correct instructions for your particular size. She says, despite the cables, it's an intuitive and easy pattern to work. It's got 63 projects on Ravelry. They look amazing. I wanted to talk about the Isla sweater. This is a sweater by Le Knit. The designer is called the Le Home Samso. I have knit her pearl sweater before, which I enjoyed very much, and I love her pattern. So this struck me. I think this one particularly is interesting because it's got cables, but it also has some lace, I guess. Would you call that lace, or am I just? It's got some holes, as my son would say. The other day, I was wearing my ranunculus, and he said, "Mama, there are holes in your sweater." I said, "Those are eyelets. That is lace, my love." So anyway, this has holes, very beautiful holes. I really like it, and I think I liked it especially because of the holes. Because I thought, hey, why can't a summer, a little, not summer, but let's say spring or autumn type pullover with a bit of holes means it's not the warmest thing in the whole wide world, I think we can do some cables in warmish weather. It doesn't have to be restricted to only cold weather. So this is the Isla sweater. It is, she holds lace and lace together. So that's also interesting. It is, it's the gauge is 21 stitches, 10 centimeters in glattstruck. Now I wonder if glattstruck, I'm not sure what that is. I will find out and put it there. And it's knit with a US 2.5, US 4, and US 6, which is the same as a 3 millimeter, 3.5, and a 4 millimeter needle. The sizes, it looks like there's good size range from SS to 3XL. And it comes in English, Danish, German, and Norwegian. I'm a little confused because it says lace in the yarn weight, but the first thing she says is you can never go wrong with Aran patterns. They take more time to knit, but the reward is a beautiful timeless sweater. The bust circumference goes from 94 centimeters to 144, which is the same as 37 inches all the way through to 56.75 inches. It's worked bottom up. Interesting. I have done a bottom up before. I know people say, oh, bottom up. I think it's okay. It was fine. This is done bottom up. Front and sleeves are worked flat on circular needles, and the pieces are seamed together. What I'm learning, I used to be afraid of seams, but I'm learning that seaming does sometimes give you a better fit and also a lasting garment, because that seam is like a piece of structure in the garment. So I'm really liking this. Some beautiful detail. It's also got the moss stitch or seed stitch, or is it double seed stitch in this case? I'm not sure. I think it looks like double seed stitch. I love a bit of seed stitch action. How many projects 10 projects on Ravelry? Not a lot. I'm surprised, but maybe it's a fairly new pattern. This is so beautiful. Just looking at it. And one of the patterns turned it into a cardigan even. Well, that is the Isla sweater by Le Home Samso. Then let's come to Home Fire's sweater and vest. This just looked different, and that's why it struck me. It's a pattern by Veta, Romanenkova, and it is knit in Aran weight, and the gauge is 22 stitches and 22 rows in the chart. So in the particular chart pattern, I presume. You use a US 9 and 10 needle, which is the equivalent of a 5.5 and a 6 millimeter needle. And the sizes go from 1 through 8. It's only available in the English language. So this is a beautiful kind of, it feels unconventional to me. Let's see what she says about it. The pattern has options to make either a vest or sweater. The body is worked in the round to the underarms. The upper back and front are worked flat separately to the shoulders. It just sounds like it's a fairly regular construction that one would be familiar with. But look at this creation. I mean, all cables have this timeless feel. I mean, all cables seem like they're reaching to you from just the depths of history. I don't know, there's something about cables. I love the verticality of the pattern. So you have you have at the top that kind of, I don't know if you call that honeycomb. I don't think you do, but it's honeycomb-like to me. And then it's a division. And I kind of love that division. There's something quite architectural about this design. And then the bottom is this vertical, these kind of leaf details. I do find it very exquisite. It's not, it feels modern. And I think this is my favorite cable. I think this cable pattern, that way, it's like a little leaf curling. That's my favorite cable. And maybe that's what attracted me to this. I think it's very beautiful. It's knit Aran weight, so this is a real winter piece of garment. One could also do the vest. It's got 3 projects. So there you go. The projects look lovely. Someone's making it in red and it looks really lovely. One thing I do, before I decide to knit something, being a beginner, I do go and look at the projects, but I also look at the comments in case anybody in the comments is saying, oh, but this didn't work and that didn't work. Or that it's lovely, but it's a little complicated. If you're a beginner, then I'm a little cautious about going with things like that. Okay, let's keep it moving. I want to talk next about the Oder Knit by Skall Studio. I first came across this watching Midnight Studio podcast. I think it's called Midnight Studio. I really, really like her. Early days, I saw her podcast come up, and from her first podcast I was following, and I like her style. It appeals to me a lot. Her colors, she does a lot of blue. So there are just a lot of similarities. That means that a lot of what she does catches my eye. And I believe she knitted this. I think she did. It's really exquisite. I mean, goodness me. There's only one photograph. And when that's confidence with a design, when you only need one photograph to really convince anybody about it. It's got the seed stitch on the side. It's got that favorite cable of mine, the little sweet little curling. And then this very quite eye-catching lattice in the front piece. I do love this, and I do feel like I must make it at some point or other. It's knit in Aran weight. The gauge is 16 stitches and 29 rows in seed stitch. And it's knit in a US 4 and US 6 needle, which is the same as a 3.5 and 4 millimeter needle. The pattern comes in English and Danish. The sizing seems a little bit pinched from an extra small. So it says extra small stroke S. So extra small stroke small and a medium stroke large. So that is not a lot of sizing. And there are 15 projects on Ravelry. It's very beautiful. Okay, let's keep it moving. The next one I want to talk about is the Azalea. So this again has that same, I think it is called honeycomb, that we saw 2 patterns up. This pattern is made by Giselle Ukardi. It's really, really nice. It's knit in Aran weight. I wonder if most cable patterns are knit in Aran weight. It must have something to also do with the expression of the cables, but not only. Like, for instance, a few patterns ago, I think Les Knit held 2 lace weight, two pieces of lace for her pattern. Anyway, the gauge here is 25.6 stitches and 28 rows in the honeycomb cable panel. So that is honeycomb. And the needles are US 8 and a US 7, which is the equivalent of a 5 and a 4.5 millimeter. The sizes are excellent. They go from an extra small all the way to a 5XL, and the pattern comes in English. So let's see what they say. The Azalea sweater is the ultimate squishy cable knit pullover, featuring a classic honeycomb center panel and accents of B-stitch buzzing at its sides. It's drop shoulder construction, and it's knitted seamlessly from top down. The sleeves scare me a little bit. I don't know what it is with me and cables and sleeves. I don't know. I've heard a few people maybe talk about cables and sleeves, but I see the sleeves and I think, ooh, that's going to be quite an endeavor. But this is just an exquisite pattern. Sometimes I look at the sleeve of the pattern and I think, oh, is it a bit much? That's often where, oh, is that a little bit much? I think this one's okay. I think it balances itself out beautifully. There are 14 projects on Ravelry. It really looks like people get, but I'm looking at the project. Some of the sleeves look a little bit much to me. A few people have changed a bit of the sleeves and maybe and left out the cables. I might end up doing something like that. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, this next one, the William sweater. The William sweater by Johanna Gehrisch. Now, I sigh because Johanna Gehrisch has some of the most amazing patterns that I've ever seen. Her style just appeals to me 100%. I don't get the sense from listening to other podcasters that she provides the most kind patterns. Let me just say kind. I don't think there's probably nothing wrong with her patterns, particularly if you're very experienced at knitting. I'm sure you don't miss anything. But I think for someone like me that's beginning, there's so many of her patterns I wanted to knit. And then I read comments, I watched the odd YouTube, and I was just like, not sure I'm going to go for that yet. Maybe in about 10 years when I'm a lot better at this. But we can still admire. Look at that. Look at that sweater, guys. Look at that. Look what she's doing. I love that she's doing that. I love this idea, because you think cables, right? And you think vertical, and here she is running the cables horizontally across the garment. I just think something like this is a bit of a showstopper. You make that and you wear it, and people stop you in the aisles of the store or on the street or whatever and say, wow, what is that? So a bit about the pattern. I've been going on and on. She knits it with lace and Aran. So it's Aran weight. The gauge is 19 stitches and 26 rows in the cable pattern. It's knit with US 10 and a US 4. So a 6mm needle and a 3.5. Her sizing is quite good. XS, extra small, all the way to triple XL. And it comes in English, Danish, Dutch, French, and German. It's knitted in 4 parts. So it's knitted and then I guess it's seamed. The back and the front part, the right and the left sleeve. So in contrast, she says, to common sweater constructions, all parts are rotated through 90 degrees before they are sewn together so that the cables are horizontal. She says that it's a level medium of difficulty. There are 75 projects. I mean, that's a really healthy number. All the projects look just exquisite. Absolutely exquisite. Somebody's made it in this bright kind of bottle green or seaweed green. I don't know what you call that. Hey, listen, when I'm feeling, one day when I'm feeling very, very ambitious, I will make this pattern. It's beautiful. Next, we have the Sirena sweater. So this is by Cookie the Knitter, who is a much-loved pattern designer. This is a beautiful pattern. It's Aran weight, 16 stitches and 24 rows, and in the moss stitch. It's knit with US 9 and US 7 needles, 5.5mm and 4.5mm needles. The sizing is good from XS all the way to 4XL, and the pattern comes in English, German, and Korean. She says the Sirena sweater is a drop shoulder sweater worked top down. It's a remarkable sweater. It's introducing a new pattern. So for me, it has that kind of sweet cable, and then it has the big kind of chunky cable on the side. I'm scared of those cables, but I don't know. It's still such a gorgeous sweater. I put it on the list. It also has this lovely crossing detail in the front panel that I found quite fetching. There are 115 patterns of this. I mean, there are 115 projects, and they all look lovely. Interestingly, I'm just checking. Okay, no, I thought somebody had omitted. Yeah, like this person here, I think, has omitted any patterns on the sleeves. Let me just see if I'm making sense. Yes, which I might feel tempted to do. So that person, I think, just made the sleeves in moss stitch. And you know me and sleeves, guys. The next one is the Gallus jumper. This is very sweet. I love it. This has those chunky, obnoxious cables that I always talk about, but it just has the 2 braids. Just one braid and another braid on either side, and in the middle panel. So there's some restraint there that I appreciated. I like that it's cropped, and I like that the sleeves are not cabled. So maybe that's just something I would end up going for. This is knit in bulky weight, and it's a 13 stitch and 18 row gauge in stockinette. This will knit quite quickly. They use a US 10. So it says US 10, 6mm and 7mm needle. And the range goes from an the side range goes from an XS to a 5XL. The pattern comes in English. This is worked from bottom up. She has some options in the pattern. You can have the brim small to sit tighter on the waist, or looser if you want to make it more full length and not so cropped. The pattern includes options for tapered or balloon sleeves. It is a lovely, lovely sweater. Okay, moving right along. The first cardigan. This is the Bookish cardigan. and it is by Anna Lupton. It's so nice. There's something really sweet. It sort of belongs in a different era. I love the baubles. So I actually love baubles, but I can never imagine wearing baubles. I just think, oh my goodness, that is so over the top. Where could I ever pull that off? There are many patterns that I like, and I think, oh my goodness, but the baubles, how am I going to wear these baubles? I don't know. One day I'll be brave enough to wear baubles. Look at the sweater. It's just sweet. It's just very sweet. I love that wave that's created. And it's, is that, so what is that now when that thing goes, it's not a lateral braid, but it looks like what's the opposite of lateral? It's this braid, right? Because it braids its way down. And I do love lateral braid. I just love, yeah. And then it's got the texture of the seed. And so this pattern is DK weight, people. Okay. This is what I can keep my eye on. It's DK weight. The gauge is 20 stitches by 26 rows in seed stitch. And the needle size is a US 5 or 3.75 millimeter needle. The sizes look really good. It goes from a 38-inch bust to a 73.25 or a 96.5 centimeter bust to a 186 centimeter bust. It comes in English. So she says the Bookish Cardi is a statement layering sweater. Yeah, with those baubles, big statement. It does contain charts, and it's knit in pieces and seamed. It's got 116 projects on Ravelry. Let's have a look. Really, really beautiful projects here. Yeah, really beautiful. Oh, the bubbles. And I will make a sweater with bubbles, and you'll be the first to know. The next is another cardigan, the New Star cardigan. So now we're getting into lighter weight. Again, this thing of combining cable with lace. And this has pointelle as well, which I love. So it's just got everything. I think it'll be quite difficult for someone like me who struggles with lace, and then I'm also doing cables, but it's beautiful. It's by a designer called Lucy Koo. It's knit in sport weight, and the gauge is 18 stitches and 26 rows in the specific pattern of this design. You use a US 7 or a 4.5 millimeter needle, and the sizes go from extra small to extra large. Not as quite as inclusive as one would like. It comes in English and Korean, this pattern. And she says worked with fingering or sport weight yarn. So this is a nice summery cabled knit. So I could try and do this in the summer season. Keep that in mind. How many projects? 5 projects. Despite being so lovely, it might be because, the side range is just not broad enough for a broader selection of projects. But how beautiful is that? Okay, moving right along. Ooh, I stumbled on this designer some time back. In fact, the next 2 patterns are her. The Amadou cardigan, guys. Okay, the designer is Marie Regnier. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. Again, the baubles. So she's got plenty baubles. So I just have these patterns in my favorites, and I just stare at them every now and then. It's like a piece of art you put on your wall. I feel like I don't have the sort of life that requires a cardigan of this manner. Maybe I need to think about how I would style it. And that's what stopped. Like, I just think, well, what am I going to wear that with when? Like, where, how, on what occasion, But you know what? Who's to stop me wearing that while I sit on my couch and knit a different sweater? Who's to stop me? It's exquisite. It's knit in double knit. So it's the double knits kind of light summery cardigan. The gauge is 24 stitches and 30 rows. And the needles are a 4 and 6 US and a 3.5 and 4 millimeter needle. The size range is good from a 1 to 10. So she says, Amadou is the French name of a mushroom growing on tree trunks that can be used as a starter for lighting a fire. I love that. It's warm and cozy, and the cardigan could be worn as a layering piece, almost like a coat for chilly autumnal evenings or mornings. Yeah, the bust measurement goes from 101 centimeters to 174.5 or 39.75 inch to a 68.75 inch. It's so nice. It's got 6 projects, not a lot of projects. All the projects there look exquisite. She also is the designer of the Seine of the Seine sweater. I just find this so beautiful. I love what she's doing. Like, cables and stripes and, whoa. So it's knit in light fingering. I might have to make this. It's knit in light fingering. I might have to put this on my list of knits for the summer. I could imagine making this in the Knotty Habits, linen viscose and merino yarn. You know what I mean? Are you with me, guys? The gauge is 26 stitches and 33 rows in stockinette stitch, and it's knit on a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle. The sizes go from 1 through 9. So the legendary river flowing through Paris's heart inspires the CN sweater. Its flowing cables along the yoke mirror the CN's graceful mix of straight lines and soft curves. Construction-wise, it's knit top down, it's raglan, and there's some positive ease in there. It's got 17 projects, and they are exquisite. Oh, one of the projects is used like neon for the stripe, neon yellow. Oh, pink and green. Okay, this is one I might just put on my to make list. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to move on to the Egwene cardigan. The Egwene cardigan is by Fabled Knitwear. I love their stuff. Fabled Knitwear has some excellent designs. She's another one likely to have a few bobbles, but this one doesn't have any bobbles. It's just exquisite. It has that's my favorite cable, that like little, and so my one thing with this is it's V-neck, and I've got a little V-neck thing, but it's a cardigan V-neck. I think that's fine. So this is knit it's a DK held with a lace that makes it a worsted weight. The gauge is 18 stitches, and the needle is a US 8 or 5 millimeter. The sizes go from an extra small to a triple XL, and it comes in English and Norwegian. It's feminine, it's elegant, yet cozy. She says that the cables are intuitive. The perfect casual and chic Parisian knit, she says. There are 102 projects on Ravelry, and I think this one is calling my name. Let's keep it moving. Next, there's the Emory vest and pullover. So it's 2 patterns in one, and this is by Joji Locatelli. I just like her as well. I watch her podcast sometimes, and she does a podcast and her mother joins in, which for me is just really moving to see. And I haven't knit any of her patterns before, but I've just heard so many good things. So this is this beautiful, it was the vest that really struck me. I love this. Like for me, cable designs feel as if they're about achieving a sense of balance. And like it always feels like it can go a little off balance, or it can be a little bit too reserved. And there's this wonderful little middle ground. And I just thought this reached it, because there's a lot going on here, but she holds it, and none of it, for me anyway, seems OTT, which I'm always worried about with the cables. So it's worsted weight. The gauge is 17.5 stitches and 26 rows in the cabled pattern. The needles are US 8 and a 7, or a 5 millimeter and a 4.5. And the sizes are available from a 1 through to 10. It's a 28-inch bust all the way to a 66-inch bust. It comes in English and Spanish, this pattern. So she says, Emory is a timeless classic with 2 versions. I love that it comes in 2 versions. And there are 275 patterns on Ravelry, all very, very beautiful. I don't know which I would do, whether I would do the pullover or the vest. Maybe the vest. I was never a big vest person till I started knitting, just by the way, but now I'm all about vests. Let's keep it going. Let's do the Airy. So this was an interesting one. The Airy is by Isabell Kraemer. I'm knitting a pattern by Isabell Kraemer as we speak for my husband. It's called the Jaden. Anyway, this is very beautiful. Again, it's got some lace in it. Something very delicate about this. And it just struck me. Of course, maybe it was also the color that the sample is knit in. It's sport weight. So again, I like the lightness of that. It's 22 stitches and 33 rows is the gauge, and a 10 centimeter swatch of stockinette stitch. It's a US 5 needle or 3.75 needle. And the sizes go from XS to a double XL. It comes in English, this pattern. It's worked seamlessly from the top down, she says. She says the front is worked in double seat stitch with a cute textured cable panel down the center. I do love this. Let's look at the bust measurements. The bust measurements go The finished measurements of the sweater go from a 36-inch to a 52 or a 90 centimeters all the way to 130 centimeters. Whoa, I missed that. There are 889 projects on Ravelry. I mean, this is a heavily knit sweater. Next is the Kantarel. So this is by Hiromi Nagasawa. I love this so much. It's got, I think that's a tight honeycomb in the center panel, and then the real sweet cables that I love so much on the sides. Let's have a look at some of the things. It's sport weight. The gauge is 22 stitches and 36 rows in garter stitch. And the needles are US 3 and a 5, which is the equivalent of a 3.25 and 3.75 millimeter needles. The sizes go from 1 to 8, and the pattern comes in English and Japanese. Okay, she's not very chatty about the pattern. It's worked from the bottom up. It's got 18 projects on Ravelry. It's so interesting, the numbers, right? Because sometimes you see this exquisite pattern and you think, how come it's not knit by more people? There might be other reasons. Sometimes it's because the sizing is not inclusive enough. Sometimes, maybe the language, it's just English and Japanese. Maybe there are knitters who would need it in other languages. I mean, these days we have ways to translate. It's really beautiful. Okay, let's keep going. I want to talk next about the ginger sweater. It's a pattern by Dorothy Officiers. And it is in Aran weight, so we're back to our Aran weight sweaters. It's 22 stitches and 24 row gauge in the cable pattern, and you knit it with a 6 or an 8 US needle, or the equivalent is a 4 or 5 millimeter needle. The pattern is super, super inclusive, going from an extra small to a 5XL. And there are lots of languages. It comes in English, Danish, Dutch, German, and Polish. It has got, over 50 projects. Let's have a look at this. The ginger sweater is a wonderfully soft, roomy sweater with a beautiful cable pattern. It's got a high neck, and the hem and cuffs are worked in twisted rib. I don't love twisted rib. I love rib. I just think leave rib alone. Don't twist it. But, I understand why. Sometimes you need to twist it. It's really beautiful. It's got these 69 projects, and they're all quite lovely. So there's something quite classic and expected for me about this pattern in a beautiful way. It's just your classic kind of cable, several cables. What's interesting is in between the cables are these columns of, what is that? It's not baubles, but it feels like it's got some bumps. So it's columns of, what would you call that? It's whatever it is, it's exquisite. Let's keep going. This is one that's come on and off my queue. I'm almost putting it on the queue and taking it off. It's the Jewel Jacket by Steffi Haberken. Now, I mean, I don't know. I just love this. I just love this. I just love this. The third photo, I'll show it here. Just see that. You know what I mean? Like, And then again, understated arms. I just like the understated arms. It's cable, but it's not saying cable. It's saying cable. Elegant, That works for me. The back is lovely. I don't know why. I think I took it off I think in the comments there's a bit of problem. I don't know why I took it. I feel like I had it on this past season and then I took it off. I thought maybe I saw something that spooked me and I took it off, but it is lovely. The gauge, it's bulky weight. The gauge is 22 stitches and 26 rows. It's knit with a US 8, 6, and 7, which is the equivalent of a 5, 4, and 4.5 millimeter needle. The sizes go from XS to XL, and it's available in English and German. She says that the Jewel Jacket is a pattern mix and texture-rich jacket inspired by the Bavarian folklore clothes called Janka. Interesting. I'll be sure to look that up and learn a bit more. There are 38 projects on Ravelry. It's nice. I think I worried about the cable on the sleeve, if that was bulky, but I think it's fine. It's so nice. Okay, so that's the Jewel Jacket. Here is the Herringbone Hill Jacket. This is a free pattern. It's a Drops design. All of Drops designs are free, which is pretty amazing. And they have this endless array of designs. So you're always bound to find something that is kind of up your alley. This is nice. There's something classic about it. It's in Aran weight. The gauge is 15 stitches and 17 rows. The needles are US 6 and 9 or a 5.5 and a 4 millimeter needle. And the sizes go from small to triple large. It's sweet. Let's see how many patterns there are. 20 patterns. I like to look at the patterns. What I'm looking at when I look at the patterns is the project, is to see how people have been able to pull it off, because sometimes, it is quite beautiful. And again, it has that row. I'll have to find out what that is. It's almost like this row of pearls in between I'll have to find out what the official name for that is. Oh, this next pattern is really interesting. It's the Ruska Pullover. It's made by a designer called Klara Pushin. It's one of those, again, it's sort of that statement. I'm thinking back to Johanna Gehrisch's one with the cables running horizontally. This actually has cables also horizontally, and it has these geometric shapes in the yoke of the sweater. You just know when you look at that it's going to be an interesting knitting experience. Yeah, this is funky. I'm guessing it's difficult, but it's knit in worsted weight. The gauge is 16 stitches and 26 rows in stockinette, and it's knit on US 8 or 5 millimeter needles. The sizes go from 1 through 9. It's available in English and Czech, featuring intricate cables and a unique construction, I'll bet. The name Ruska is inspired by the Sami word for autumn, a season when Finland's forests burst into a vibrant display of reds, yellows, and oranges, resembling an artist's palette. That's really beautiful. There are only 7 projects. I don't know, it's the kind of thing I think, here's another design I absolutely love. This is the Irish Rover Pullover, and it's by Teti Lutzak. I really like Teti Lutzak. She also has a podcast, and I just love how she talks about her work and her designs. And she is Ukrainian, and she talks about the Ukrainian traditions. I think it's her that has this wonderful podcast where she's talking about a tradition. She went to I'm going to put it here. She's talking about these people who felt their yarn in underneath their homes with the river that ran underneath their homes. I know it sounds like a fairy tale, but this is this old tradition of how they would wash and felt their sweaters and their yarns. I'm going to put a link because that was a remarkable video. So this is a pattern by her. It's an Aran weight. It's the gauge is 15 stitches and 20 rows, and it's knit on US 8 needles or 5 millimeter needles. And it looks like you need a crochet hook as well, and you need a 4.5 crochet hook. The sizes to me seem quite good, from a 1 to a 9, to fit a bust of 74 through to 154 centimeters, which is the equivalent of 29 through to 61 inches. It comes in many languages: English, Danish, French, German, Italian, Norwegian, Spanish, and Ukrainian. And she says it's a simple yet elegant, slightly cropped raglan pullover designed to complete outfits with high-waisted skirts, jeans, and go-over dresses. She does have a special podcast on it, which is very helpful. And it's a lovely pattern. There are 229 projects of this pattern. I like it. I like the elegance. You know me, this that understated cabling. And it looks like it has 2 neck options, because you could have a kind of almost like a mock turtleneck or something shorter. Okay, let's talk about the Saronda. This is by Belen Fernandez. I'd liked this a long time ago, just because of the elegant cables. This particular leafy cable pattern for me is really interesting. Oh, I do love it. I do love it. It's a worsted weight, and the gauge is 16 stitches and 23 rows in stockinette. The needles are US 8 and 7, which is the equivalent of 5 and 4.5 millimeters, and the sizes go from 1 through to 9. It comes in English and Spanish, this pattern. So Saronda is a raglan sleeve jumper with a cable panel along the front. It's knitted in the round from the top down. Saronda is the name given to the autumn month and the autumn harvest in the dialect of the northern Spanish region where I am born. This is the designers talking. There are 195 patterns, 195 projects. I keep saying patterns. It's just really nice. It's kind of exquisite, I think. And then, the Genie Square top. This is by Blue Squirrel Hume. I really love Blue Squirrel's designs. This is kind of a cardigan. The sample is a short sleeve, but there's also a no sleeve sample. So it's a t-shirt. Let me see what yarn it's knit in. It's fingering, which is wonderful. And the gauge is 22 stitches and 30 rows. I wondered, she doesn't suggest a yarn. I wondered if she'd knit it in like a plant yarn or some sort of blend, because it looks like it's for summer. The needle size is US 7 and 4, and that's a 4.5 and a 3.5 millimeter needle. The sizes go from small to double large. So it says the GD top is designed to have a fitted shoulder area and a slightly relaxed fit around the chest. She says there are options. You can do the more basic or the fitted, and you can choose between finishes with a ribbed hem or an I-cord. Yes, so she knitted exactly with a linen and viscose blend. Makes sense. Let's have a look. The construction. It's done using the top-down set-in sleeve method. Okay. There are 32 projects of this. I love it. I do love that. I'm not a big on fitted things around my waist, I'll be honest, but I see some options here that aren't that fitted around the waist. That would be, and somebody even just knitted the full sleeve. Very beautiful. Let's talk about the Ryo. So this is by Reiko Kuwamura. Again, my little all of them look the same, but also look at the back. This one has this little thing at the back. Now, I love this carryover thing. That's what I call it in my head, this carryover. I'll be worried that it would snag and get destroyed, of course, but no matter, it's still, there's just something really exquisite about that. This is knit in sport weight. The gauge is 22 stitches and 34 rows, and it's knit on a US 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. The sizes go from an XS to a triple XL, and it's available in English and Japanese. So she says, Ryo is a simple, or Ryo, I might not be pronouncing it properly, Ryo is a simple, seamless pullover, but the construction is very unique. Shoulder saddles are worked directly after neck rib and short rows. Then stitches are picked up to form the front and the back. And then I guess they're joined at some point, and on and on and on. There are 94 projects. I'm just looking through the project pages. Really nice. Really, really nice. Okay, let's move on. Ooh, this one. So I really love Gregovia fibers. I love all their patterns. I love them. And this is the Aeneas T, which is, it's me, right? It's like all the other ones I've shown you. It's got that lovely kind of leaf, and it's delicate, and everything else is simple. It's knit in a light fingering held with sport. They say it's a sport weight. The gauge is 18 stitches and 25 rows, and the needle is a US 8 and a US 2.5, which is a 5 millimeter and a 3 millimeter. The sizes go from 1 through to 8. And it's available in English, Danish, French, Korean, and Norwegian. It's got this distinct center cable, and it's feminine. It's a summer tee. It's got a boat neck. It's got the short sleeves, and quite a fitted silhouette. I do love it. I really do love it. I think I'm going to make it. There are 37 projects on Ravelry, and it is just glorious. Okay, let's keep on going. Oh, this next one. This next one's quite different from everything else. I think it's called Fold Lines. It's by Nora Gahn. And I just look at that. I love the geometry. The color it's made in, at least that sample is quite exquisite as well. It's modern to me. It's knit in DK weight. The gauge is 22 stitches and 48 rows. The needle size is a US 4 and a US 3, which is the equivalent of a 3.5 and a 3.25. The sizes accommodate a circumference of chest that in inches is a 35.5 to a 63.5. In centimeters, 90 centimeters through to 161.5 centimeters. It comes in English, French, German, Japanese, and Russian. So it says, indulge in the satisfaction of watching embossed shapes unfold with this heavily textured pullover. Fold Line melds multiple genres of handmaking, opening the eyes to the creative ways in which fabric can be manipulated for stunning visual and tactile effect. Let me see how many. It's got lots of projects, 319. I'm not surprised. Oh, this next one, the Nimbus Pullover. by Jessie Maid Designs. I really like Jessie Maid. I just like her vibe and what she does and how she talks about her patterns. And I'm subscribed to her newsletter. I haven't knit anything by her. I think I've bought the odd pattern, haven't made it. This one, when it came out, I think I liked it instantly. Nimbus Pullover. It's just it's a very kind of classic cable pattern, I think. But I love that it's oversized. It's worsted weight. The gauge is 18 stitches and 24 rows. The needles are US 9 and 8, which is a 5.5 and a 5 millimeter needle. The final garment measurements go from a 37.5 inch to 68.5, which is the same as a 95.5 centimeters to 174. The pattern comes in English. Yeah, she uses words like ethereal to describe the sweater, and it's this kind of cloud-like pattern running through. There are 45 projects on Ravelry. And yes, if I could knit everything, this would be one of the everything that I would knit. Ooh, the next one. Again, another one of these patterns that I just want to stare at, but I cannot understand wherever I would wear it to. This is the Acacia Cardigan by Irene Lin. Irene Lin has a lot of fabulous patterns like this. Just exquisite. When you look at something like this, it's just exquisite. The problem is I don't think I have anywhere to wear it. It doesn't mean I can't stare at it every now and then. It's knit in DK weight. There are 21 stitches and 29 rows in the gauge, and it's knit with US 6 and 4, which is a 4 millimeter and a 3.5. The sizes go from 1 through to 6. It's knit top down. It's seamless. It's got the round neck. It's raglan increases. So there are cables, there are twisted stitches, there are eyelets, it's like, boom, throw it all in, man. It's very lovely. And there are 156 patterns on projects on Ravelry. Maybe, I just had a thought looking at the projects. It's so good to look at the projects. Maybe if I knit it in quite a dark color. Like I'm noticing that the projects that are done in slightly darker colors don't intimidate me quite as much as the ones that are in the lighter colors. So maybe that's my way to work out these patterns that I love, but they're just a bit too much in a way, in the best of ways, but maybe knitting it in a darker, like I could knit it in black, for instance, or like a real dark navy. Let's talk about the Pakira sweater. This is by Twin Knits. Really like this one. Again, it feels kind of classic, right? And it's got these bands of garter in between, which I like. I like that bands of garter. It's cable all over, man. It's not shy. It's knit in DK weight. The gauge is 22 stitches and 24 rows in the cable pattern, and the needles are US 7 and a 4, which is the same as a 4.5 and a 3.5. The sizes go from a small to a triple XL, and it comes in English and Danish. The sweater is knitted from the top down, and it's knit, I think, in a fairly conventional manner. It's really beautiful, and there are 13 projects of it on Ravelry. It's, for me, when I look at it, just your classic cable. That's how I see this one, and it's beautiful. Here's a pattern. It's Devon. It is by Nora Gone again. This is the second pattern of hers that we've looked at. It's in super bulky. The gauge is 12 stitches and 16 rows in stockinette stitch. And you need a US 10 and an 11 or a 6 and an 8 millimeter needle. The sizes go from extra small to double XL. It comes in English, this pattern. There is an errata here, so keep in mind if you ever go for it that there is an errata that was published. There isn't much said, but it does have 283 projects. It's nice, I mean, and it looks like mostly men wearing the pattern, but I'm sure it can work across the range. So yeah, that's okay. That is the Devon by Nora Gone. Okay, we're finishing up now. What a rally it's been. The next one, which is also for men, I would say, but of course nothing is exclusively for anybody, really. You do what you want. It's Wuthering Heights, and it's been by Les Tricoteurs Volants. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that well. I am a student of the French language. It's knit in DK weight. And the gauge is 21 stitches and 30 rows in stockinette stitch. The needles are US 6 and a US 3, which is the equivalent of a 4 and a 3.25 millimeter needle. The sizes go from small to extra large, and they're meant to fit a chest of 92 to 118 centimeters, which is the equivalent of 36 to 46.5 inches. So the designer says, Wuthering Heights is one of my favorite books ever. And I love the song by Kate Bush, inspired by the vibrant characters of the novel. So it's a cable jumper for men, knitted from the top down and completely seamless. It's got this diamond-shaped cable, and they're embellished. They're embellished with, is it seed stitch? Is it double seed? It's got this embellishment, or is it just, it's like seed inside. It is quite an intricate design, I must say. And it also runs down the sleeves. I liked it. I think I would have needed a slightly larger range of size. It comes in English and French, and there are 72 projects of it on Ravelry. Really lovely, really raglan, but there's an intricacy to it that I like, particularly for a male sweater. I don't know why. There's just something kind of sweet and lovely about that. Okay, let's keep it moving. I think we have 6 more. Yeah, we've got 6 more. Wow. So we've got the Helios sweater. This is by Liv. I like this because I like the combination of the cables and the garter stitch. But this has your typical, it's got kind of 7 cables of different sizes running down like a center panel. And then I like that the sleeves are quite plain, you know me, plain in garter. So that's where you get your texture from. Did I say this is a pattern by Liv Ulven? It's DK weight. The gauge is 18 stitches and 24 rows. And the needles are US 7 and 4, which is the equivalent of a 4.5 and a 3.5 millimeter needle. The sizes go from 1 to 9, and the pattern comes in English. So the Helios sweater is a modified drop shoulder design knit in reverse stockinette. Okay, I said garter, it's reverse stockinette from the top down. The standout feature is the cabled stitch pattern on both the front and back, which includes easy-to-learn cables. And they're worked without a cable needle, so that's a nice thing to know. And if either you know how to do that already or it's something you can learn, I think it's fairly straightforward. There are 21 patterns, projects in Ravelry. I really, really like this. I really, really like the reverse stockinette. Okay, let's keep it moving. The front porch sweater. And true to its name, there's just something wonderfully regular and lovely about this one. It's a pattern by Kevin Haggerty, and it's a DK weight. The gauge is 24 stitches and 26 rows in the cable pattern. The needles are 6 and 4 US or a 4 and a 3.5 millimeter needle. The sizes go from a 1 through to 10. It's seamless and it's knit mostly in the round with the breeziest cable pattern and the ultimate snuggly fit. So yeah, it's knit top down, it seems, and it looks like it's drop shoulder. Would you call that drop shoulder? What does he say? And there are 98 projects on Ravelry. The neck seems a bit wide to me, but that might be just me. And I think there are always ways to, like you can see. It's also nice. I think this is for both genders, and I like that, or for all genders, I should say, because there are more than just 2. Okay, last 4. The Sweetgrass cardigan. Oh, this I loved so much. So it's a Sweetgrass cardigan by Tricot Meringue, knit in DK with a gauge of 23 stitches and 30 rows. You use a US 5 needle or a 3.75, and the finished bust goes from 91 centimeters to 173, or 36 inches through to 69 inches. The pattern comes in English and French. I really like this one. This was one that was on an early queue, and then I think I took it off the queue. I don't know why. I could put it back on now. I think I have a bit of more experience. It's got 12 projects, but it is such a sweet pattern. I love the kind of the ease of it, the elegance of that cable, that very twirly cable, but it's thin, right? It's not it's not chunky. It's this understated. So she says the sweet girl, whoever the designer is, I say she, but it could be Tricot Meringue, I don't know. But it says, the sweetgrass cardigan is the missing piece in your spring wardrobe. This little cardigan with a drop shoulder construction will go perfectly over a pretty summer dress, a little top or a camisole. And there's some very lovely projects here. Somebody doing it with quite a bit of fluff. That's been interesting. Let's have a look at the akan or the akane. Could be akane, could also be akan. It's by Eri Shimizu, who is a designer I adore. I've knitted 2 things by her, but I look at a lot of her things. I love, she's got a very unique aesthetic, I would say, and this it's a pullover is no exception. You almost don't know what to make of this. You just want to stare at it for a while. I don't know if I would ever put it on my body. I think I will. If I made it, I certainly would. It's a statement, you know. And this one of the samples is done in red. You know, this is a statement. It's cropped. I like the cropped one because you almost don't want too much of it because it's such a strong thing. But she's got this quite incredible twirling kind of twisting. It's got the cables. I don't even know how to talk about it. Let's have a closer look so I can try and describe it. It's like a braid. It's like she's made up the braid. It's these braids that she's designed going down the pattern. And then this is also another one with, now I recognize, reverse stockinette, not garter. And it's very three-dimensional, this pattern. You know, it looks like a bunch of rolling hills on your back. It's knit in sport weight. The gauge is 20 stitches and 30 rows, and it's knit with a US 7 and a US 5, which is a 4.5 and a 3.75 millimeter needle. The sizes go from an extra small to a double XL, and it comes in English and Japanese. And she has this is a sport weight version of another pattern, she says, called Hakuji. And by the way, if you have purchased the Hakuji before, she says, you can get this pattern at a 50% discount. That's a nice offering. It's boxy cabled pullover, work from the bottom up. The body's worked in the round. The pullover can be worn wrong side out. So I think it can be worn in both ways. That's cool. Let me just look to see in the pictures what the different looks are. Okay. She's also got this wonderful way that the cable, the thing that she's constructed, this cable that, you know, goes into the ribbing at the top, at the neck. Very, very clever and elegant. There are all of 80 projects on Ravelry for this. It's very nice, guys. It's very nice. You almost want to do this and you want to do it in like a real strong color, like cobalt blue. I don't know if this is cobalt blue, but you want to do it in cobalt blue. Or is this cobalt blue? Anyway. Somebody did it in this beautiful red, and she's in this field with, I think those are peonies or some kind of flower. It looks wonderful. Okay. Oh, someone else did it in a very light, because she says sport weight. Yeah. Okay, last 2. This is the Yona Gatsuki. So this is another Eri Shimizu design, and it is a cardigan. And the cable of this is just in the sleeve, I think, which I like. I don't know. I know some about sleeves and cables, and now I'm saying I like something that only has cable. But that's it. The cables are in the sleeves. And it's this crossy thing that goes down your arms, and everything else is stockinette with it. And then the front of the cardigan has a lot of 2x2 ribbing, which you know I love. This is a nice kind of oversized throw-over cardigan. There are no buttons involved, it looks like. It's knit in DK weight. The gauge is 20 stitches and 28 rows. The needles are US 5 and 7, and that's a 3.75 and a 4.5 millimeter. The sizes go from extra small to 4XL, and it comes in English and Japanese. So she says, Yona Gatsuki is a raglan cardigan worked from the top down. It's so nice. There are 96 patterns of this on Ravelry. It's looked to be oversized and long and drapey. Because I'm so long myself, I don't always wear long things like that. But there's nothing saying you can't crop it. I would crop it a bit, maybe not have it be that long over my waist. Very nice. Oh my goodness, it's very nice. And last, we have the Wafelek cardigan. So the Wafelek cardigan is a design by Zergan Nibo. I might be mispronouncing that, and if I am, I apologize. I just love the elegance of this thing. I love when cables are so dainty. Because you think cables and they got those chunky, but then when they're just dainty, and then of course the plain sleeve. Love a plain sleeve on a cabled item. There's something very sweet, very restrained about this pattern that I enjoy. It's knit in DK. The gauge is 18 stitches. It's knit on US 6 and a 2.5 needle, which is the equivalent of a 4 and a 3 millimeter. The sizes okay, it says as a S stroke M and an L stroke XL. So it looks like this might not be very size inclusive, and that might be why there are only 2 projects, but there might be other reasons. It's available in English and Polish. The designer does say, the pattern for this cardigan is my first attempt at designing my own pattern. So that also explains, sometimes new designers, might not have the full range. I'm not trying to make excuses, but this is a new design, and maybe it is paid for. So maybe as the designer becomes slightly more popular, this pattern can be, what do they call it when they, it's not gauged, but there's a word they use to be able to create more sizes. I can't think of that word. I'll just have to put it up over there rather. So they do say, this designer, it's my first attempt at designing my own patterns. So I welcome any feedback on what I should improve. Sizing, but I know it costs money, so maybe that's a consideration. If you have any doubts, I'm here to help. Happy knitting. Well, that's also nice to just have this sweet message from the designer, and it gives me courage, like, okay, I can go for it, and if I get into trouble, I can write and say, help. I do like it. I really do like it. I wonder if it has a double knitted button band. It doesn't say, or at least it doesn't say in any language that I can understand. But yeah, that's the last pattern on this list. My goodness, I can't believe we went through 37 cable patterns. It was quite a long endeavor, but I wanted to share, these patterns that I found with you. Of course, there are a zillion cable patterns out there. I almost don't want to go back into Ravelry and look for any more. It's like, there's so many, but these struck me for different reasons, and I've corralled them together in this bundle, and I will dip in and out of there as my cable appetite grows. And when it comes time to knit a cable pattern, I'll come into this bundle and I'll pick one. Thank you so much for joining me and listening and staying this long. Well done. I hope of all these patterns, maybe some of them you hadn't heard of. They're not the most popular, some of them are well-known designers, some are not that well-known. So hopefully I've also shared some patterns with you that you may not have come across before. Maybe you'll knit one of them, and if you do, hey, let me know. Maybe you haven't knit one of them already, and if you have, definitely let me know. I will say goodbye for now and just wish you well. Happy knitting and making. Take care and see you soon here again.